Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. All my video lectures are mainly for educative purpose. Now today we are going to start with one new series that is in neurology, or we call nervous system. So first lecture will be introduction to nervous system. So we know very well nervous system means it is concerned with brain, spinal cord, peripheral nerves, etc. And the disease which are due to those we call as CNS disorders or CNS disease. But CNS is mainly not only central nervous system, it also includes spinal cord as well as peripheral nerves. So we'll be just giving a general idea in this lecture. What does nervous system means? Now nervous system basically means we divide mainly into two main common system, that is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, while peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Plus there is also one system we call as the autonomic nervous system, which is parasympathetic and sympathetic. The components includes in nervous system brain, spinal cord, nerves, sensory, receptor as well as autonomic nervous system, and it is responsible for sensory perception, mental activity, contraction of muscle or we call motor movements, secretions of many glands, etc. And it is subdivided into, we have already mentioned, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system is brain and spinal cord, while peripheral is cranial nerves and spinal nerves. And further it is also divided into somatic nervous system, which is voluntary controlled by brain, and autonomic nervous system, which is not controlled by brain, we call sympathetic and parasympathetic. So somatic will be cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Other way to understand this particular thing is the sensory system will bring an input from sensory receptor when they are stimulated by a signal to sensory neurons, and that sensory neuron will give an input to the central nervous system. This will bring the input to the system, central nervous system, we call as afferents, while from the brain by different tracks, that is pyramidal tracks, it will give an order we call afferent neurons, and that will be divided into two, one autonomic nervous system and somatic neurons. Now these somatic neurons will control the skeletal muscle movements and contraction of muscles, while efferent neurons, which controls the autonomic nervous system, will be sympathetic, parasympathetic, as well as it will be acting on this sympathetic and parasympathetic will be acting on a smooth muscle like bronchial mucous, bronchial, or we call trachea and bronchi, cardiac muscle. They'll be also acting on the exocrine gland, endocrine glands, and adipose tissue. As well as it will have a communication with number of enteric nervous system, which will be controlling the smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, exocrine, endocrine, as well as on adipose tissue. And it will also give a stimulant or input to sensory neuron, and that will be given to the brain. This entirely is organization of nervous system. It is a well organized system. So we already mentioned that you will have different components, brain and spinal cord. Motor system will give an input to peripheral nervous system, which will be through efferent division, and that will be acting on to somatic nervous system, which will give rise to contraction of skeletal muscle, while autonomic nervous system, while parasympathetic and sympathetic, will give rise to smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, endocrine glands, exocrine glands, and adipose tissue. And you will get an input from visceral receptors, spatial sensory receptors like taste, eye, then 8th cranial nerve, that is regarding vestibular apparatus, balance, hearing, smell, etc. And from somatic nervous system, that is from skeletal muscle, joints, skin, which will give rise to touch, pressure, pain, temperature, sensation, etc. All those will be by afferent to the nervous system, and that will give information to the brain. This is entirely the process which is going on constantly. So we know that it is divided into two big main systems, that is central and peripheral. Central is brain and spinal cord. Peripheral is 31 pairs of spinal nerves and 12 pair of cranial nerves. Brain will be divided into different lobes like frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. We usually mention anterior and posterior, and that two cerebral hemisphere is divided by one big longitudinal fissure, and these lobes will have a multiple sulci and gyri, as well as you will have multiple sulci which will be dividing different lobes as well as different parts of the brain. We'll be going through that. So central sulcus will be dividing frontal lobe from parietal lobe. Lateral sulcus will be dividing frontal lobe from temporal as well as parietal lobe from temporal lobe. And you will have occipital lobe which will be posterior part. And this cortex is made up of 6 layers, that is molecular layer, external granular layer, external pyramidal cell layer, internal granular layer, internal pyramidal cell layer, and multiform layer. We are not going to talk of all those in detail, and there will be a lot of different types of cells called fusiform cells, stellate cells, pyramidal cells, etc. Plus you will have a cerebellum. So you have got 4 lobes: frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. You have got 2 hemispheres, right and left cerebral hemisphere, that is connected by corpus callosum. So we have got frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal, and that is connected by corpus callosum. Frontal lobe is concerned with voluntary motor function, motivation, aggression, also sense of smell, and also mood. Parietal lobe will be concerned with reception of sensory information, reception and evaluation of sensory information regarding smell, hearing, and vision are the exception. Smell will be by frontal lobe, hearing will be by temporal lobe, and vision will be by occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is mainly concerned with reception and integration of visual input, and temporal lobe will receive and evaluate input regarding smell and hearing. Also, there is an important role in memory, and it is also involved in thoughts and judgment. When you want to learn, you have to have a horizontal section. When you cut in this, it is called horizontal section. When you cut in a coronal plane, we call coronal section. And when you cut in a AP, it is called sagittal section. Along the sagittal sinus, we call sagittal section. So for a 3-dimension, you should have 3 views. We call coronal view, sagittal view, and horizontal cut section. These are in detail regarding the division and function of the brain, that is brainstem, medulla, pons, midbrain, reticular formation, cerebellum, diencephalon, which consists of thalamus, subthalamus, epithalamus, hypothalamus, and cerebral hemisphere containing basal ganglia and limbic system. I am not going into detail regarding this. You can have a pause. You can go through, because this is all the things which are being done in your physiology first year. Brainstem will have medulla, pons, and midbrain, and it connects brain with brainstem, is connected to spinal cord, and so it is responsible for reflexes which are essential for survival, and damage to the brainstem can be fatal because it is the center for cardiovascular and respiratory center. Medulla is responsible for regulation of heart rate, blood vessel diameter, respiration, swallowing and vomiting, etc. There are ascending tracts and descending tracts which are passing through this medulla, and at the lower half of the medulla, the descending tracts, that is pyramidal tract, crosses to the opposite side. We'll be discussing all this in detail when we discuss regarding a pyramidal tract or motor system. And there are few nucleus which are involved in balance, coordination, and modulation of sound from inner ear. These are all the different hypothalamic nucleus which will be responsible for different function like autonomic, endocrine, etc. I am not going in any detail regarding at present regarding hypothalamus. Now we are coming to the most important part, which is necessary to understand the different functions, what is going on, because you have to be a good electrician. An electrician, a good electrician is, he should know which wire is for what purpose, what it carries, from where it carries. Same way, a neurons is a basic unit, and that will give rise to transport of impulses from dendrites towards axon and finally towards the synapse. So neuron is a functional signal conducting cells which is made up of a cell body. There are small processes we call dendrites, and there is a one elongated process we call as an axon. And there is a second group of cells we call as the neuroglial cells. These are supporting cells and neuroglial cells. This is a cell which contains cytoplasm, nucleus. This small process are called dendrites, and this one long process is called axons. And axons is covered by what we call as Schwann cells, which makes myelin sheath, and between those two cells there is a gap which is called nodes of Ranvier, and the end of axon there are small dilated part we call as presynaptic bulb, and it will synapse with either dendrites or with another neurons, or you can have synapse with a muscle, that is myoneural junction, etc. So this neuron can have polysynaptic or a monosynaptic. It will by and large will synapse with the dendrites, or it will synapse with a glandular tissue or with a muscle, depending upon what is the function. So this axon will synapse with these are dendrites. So if it is a sensory neuron, then it will carry an impulse towards the brain, and if it is a motor, it will carry an impulse from brain towards the periphery. So this will be a cell body, this is axon, this is dendrites, this is to the nervous system. So this will be order going to the nervous system, and if this is a sensory receptor, this will be going towards the central nervous system. So depending upon what is the function, accordingly it will carry the impulse. So sensory will be carrying the impulse towards, while motor will carry away from the central nervous system. And interneuron or association neurons will be within the central nervous system, and it will connect one neuron to the another neuron. And structural classification wise, we classify them into multipolar, bipolar and unipolar, depending upon the structure. We have a descending pathway which consists of pyramidal system, and there is a big another system we call as the extrapyramidal system, which starts from basal ganglia, thalamus, red nucleus, substantia nigra, reticular formation, vestibular nucleus, tectospinal, vestibulospinal, reticulospinal, rubrospinal, etc. And it will terminate on spinal cord and will help in maintenance of tone, posture, and reflexes which are concerned with maintenance of tone and posture. You will also have the tracts which will be going towards the brain, we call as ascending tracts or sensory tracts. There are 4 organs which are concerned with special senses like olfactory, we call optic, which is visual, auditory, that is 8th cranial nerve, olfactory is the 1st cranial nerve, visual will be 2nd cranial nerve or we call optic nerve. This will be auditory, and then we have got one which comes from the tongue, that is gustatory, that is a taste sensation, and the sensation which comes from the periphery, that is from the skin, joints, bones, tendons, etc., that we call as somatic. All those inputs are given to brain. Olfactory will go to the frontal lobe, auditory will go to the temporal lobe, and visual input will go to occipital lobe, and gustatory will go to temporal lobe. This will be the input. These 4, that is olfactory, visual, auditory and gustatory taste sensation, are special senses, and this is somatic senses. Somatic senses will go to the post-central gyrus of parietal lobe. Post-central gyrus of parietal lobe. So we have got sense of smell, vision, taste and hearing. And somatic sensation will be going to post-central gyrus of parietal lobe. So we have got different sensory system. These are special sensory system: olfactory, gustatory, visual and auditory. Gustatory and olfactory will be concerned with chemical stimulus. These are all ascending tracks. We'll be doing separately when we do sensory system. There are multiple different tracks. We have got spinothalamic tract, anterior and posterior spinothalamic tract. We have got cerebrospinal tract, spinocerebellar tracts, which is again anterior and posterior. Then we have got a posterior column. We call it tract of Gohl and Berda. So we have got multiple different tracks. We'll be discussing separately. So in that you will have a first order neuron, second order neuron, third order neuron. First order neuron is usually on the same side. Second order neuron will always cross to the opposite side. And third order neuron will start from thalamus and will end on cerebral cortex. We call thalamocortical tracts. This is second order neuron which has already crossed to the opposite side, will end in a thalamus, and from thalamus when it goes to that is called third order neuron. And at the level of spinal cord, we have got reflexes. In a sensory reflex, you will have a fibers which will be carry the input from sensory receptor via afferent towards the spinal cord. There will be interneurons, and that interneurons will synapse with the anterior horn cell. We call motor neuron, and that motor neuron will have a fiber which will be coming out through the anterior nerve root and will be making a synapse with muscle myoneural junction. This will be consisting in a sensory reflex. While in a motor reflex, you will have sensory neurons, and that will be making a direct synapse with anterior horn cell, and that will be ending on muscle. So we will have two types of reflexes. Sensory reflex is polysynaptic, while motor reflex is monosynaptic. So it will be reflex arc, and there are also reflex arc concerned with what we call as autonomic nervous system. Sensory reflex is usually sensory receptor. This is sensory neurons. You will have interneurons, and then you will have a motor neurons. This will be tendon receptor. From tendon receptor, you will have a fiber which will be making directly synapse with anterior horn cell, and this will be motor reflex. This will be sensory reflex. So this is called tendon reflex or motor reflex. It will be monosynaptic. Mainly it will be an extensor reflex, while usually sensory reflex are usually flexor reflex, or they are also called withdrawal reflex or protective reflex, and they are polysynaptic. Autonomic nervous system we divide into two: sympathetic, which is also described as a fight or flight, and parasympathetic is called rest and digest. So this is during stress, and this is when the person is relaxed. Rest and digest, balance between autonomic nervous system is absolutely necessary. So whenever there is a fight or flight, sympathetic system is active. So there is a nice balance to keep a state of dynamic balance between the two. These are the structure which are supplied by parasympathetic system. These are the structure which are supplied by sympathetic system. So it supplies say we say pupil, that will be, or pupillary fibers will be supplied by parasympathetic as well as sympathetic system. You will have salivary gland also supplied by sympathetic and parasympathetic. So if we take that, parasympathetic will give rise to constriction of pupil, while sympathetic will give rise to dilatation, we call mydriasis, this is called meiosis. Parasympathetic will give rise to salivation, while sympathetic will inhibit salivation. Parasympathetic on a heart where it supplies SA node, it will give rise to bradycardia, while sympathetic system will give rise to tachycardia. On bronchial smooth muscle, it will give rise to bronchoconstriction, while sympathetic system will give rise to bronchodilation. On stomach, it will increase the acid production as well as it will increase the peristalsis and helps in digestion, while it will inhibit the digestion. Sympathetic system will inhibit the digestion. As far as liver is concerned, parasympathetic will stimulate the gallbladder and release the bile into duodenum, while sympathetic system will stimulate the liver, increases glycogenolysis and increase the release of glucose from liver. Parasympathetic on the bladder will give rise to contraction of the bladder and relaxation of internal sphincter, while sympathetic will relax the detrusal muscle and contracts the internal sphincter, giving rise to retention of urine or accumulation of urine. It has got also innervation to uterus and testes and ovary. These are all the different structures. In general, if we go through, this is a very simple way. Iris, pupil dilatation, parasympathetic constriction, salivary gland, production is reduced, parasympathetic production is increased, heart, sympathetic will produce tachycardia and inotropics, while this will decrease the heart rate and also decreases the force of contraction. Bronchial muscle is relaxed, so there is a bronchodilation. Here there will be bronchoconstriction. On stomach, peristalsis are reduced in sympathetic system, while here the motility is increased, so peristalsis is increased, gastric juice secretion, acid production, etc. is increased. Kidney, decreased urine secretion, while in case of parasympathetic, increased urine formation. Bladder wall will be relaxed and internal sphincter will be closed, while here you will get a contraction of detrusal muscle and relaxation of internal sphincter, giving rise to act of micturition, and this will be bladder filling of the bladder. So I am ending with the first part. We'll be taking the second part, and in a second part we'll be explaining how you utilize your symptoms, how you utilize your information regarding central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, intracranial part, extracranial parts, etc. We'll be talking in that particular pattern.